Yeah, I've got it up here because it's easier to, like, you know, you can see more of the windshield and everything. I didn't clean it out today, so all right, Nee. Let's take you to work. So press that, press the button, and let's see. Kind of a little bit tight here with Vivi's car over there, Wyatt's car right there, but let's see. I'm not going to goose it or nothing. Let's just see if it can. Look at this. It's going slow. I may have to goose this one a little bit. Let's. No, it's doing it. Keep going. All right. It basically, the car is saying, when you get home, go up to Vivi's room, pound on the door, and tell her to move her car a little bit. All right. So yeah, you got to ride in the Tesla back when I was in California, right? But you were in the back with your mom and your sister. So this is your first time getting to ride up front and getting to see the FSD in action. Oh, you got to see FSD last time, right? Yeah. Nee, you live in Long Beach, or you live?
Long Beach.
Long Beach, LBC.
Yeah, grew up in Long Beach.
Grew up in Long Beach. What high school did you go to?
Poly High School.
Poly. Oh, so you're a, don't call me, oh, y'all are the Mud Hens?
The Jackrabbits.
The Jackrabbits. Y'all have changed your mascot. Like y'all, it was something silly.
Really?
Oh, wow. Something like Mud Hens or Mud Rats. I remember, like, because Tu went to Poly, right? She was telling, I remember her, it was something, it's like, yeah, Jackrabbit or Jack Toad or something. I was like, I don't even, like, when your mascot is an animal you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Like, yes, can't you just be the Spartans or the, like everybody else?
No, yeah.
The Wolverines.
No. She said that she was there when Snoop Dogg was
Yeah,
there.
Snoop Dogg. Well, Snoop Dogg was, he went, so the high school y'all went to, Snoop Dogg went to that high school. Cameron Diaz went to that high school. Oh gosh, one of the girls that was on Beverly Hills 90210, Thiessen?
I don't know.
Yeah, something, Kimberly Thiessen, or I know I'm jacking that up, but one of those actresses that was on 90210 went to the same school. Obviously, Snoop Dogg was way before y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably in high school about the same time I was in high school in the 80s.
Yeah.
And now you're spending the summer in the beautiful city of Houston, where the weather is always perfect.
Yeah.
Never too hot. Like, it's 97 right now with 100% humidity. Does it get any better than this, Nee? It can't. Like, you could take your Southern California and shove it. 97 degrees with 100% humidity. That is living life. That's living life. Screw 78 degrees with no humidity. Screw that. That's for weak people. Weakness.
Well, when we were going home, the air, or yeah, on the way home, it felt really nice. There was no, it wasn't humid.
Every once in a while, in May, maybe a little bit of early June, and then later on in the year, in maybe like October, it can be some of the best weather in the world right here. The problem is that lasts like a long weekend.
Nice.
And then the rest of the summer is like today or worse. Like, this is like, it's showing 99 degrees right now. Last year, I think during July and August, we never had a day below 100. Every single day we were above 100 for like 38 straight days. Yeah, it was.
Oh my God.
Well, it gets to the point where you can't do anything outside, right? Like, it can get so hot that it shuts down commerce. Like, they can't even build buildings. They have to shut down between like 11 o'clock and 4 in the afternoon, and they get busy at night with the night lights. But obviously that's not the most efficient way to do construction. But
How about this car? Does it like react well?
Ask me anything you want about the car. Like, so when you say react, like what do you mean by react?
Or like with like for example, if the...
And be careful what you say. She's listening to you right now. And she'll, 2 years from now when she's coming to kill you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just kidding.
That's scary.
It's like Christine, right? No. But anyway, I'm being tongue-in-cheek. What were you asking? Sorry, I'm a jack. I try to be too funny.
Okay. Like if it gets too hot, does can the Tesla still like drive by itself?
Let me ask you this: when you say too hot, you mean like the weather outside gets too hot?
The weather outside.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So in fact, you bring up a subject that it really got into the to the news during the winter, right? Mm-hmm. So there's this thing about extreme weather, one way or the other. So obviously, all vehicles do pretty good in normal weather, right? So when I say normal weather, like this is, anything below 100 degrees and anything above, say, low 30s. This car is going to do well. And those cars right there, those are regular ICE engine. So when I say ICE, that's short for internal combustion engine. That's kind of like you refer to it either as an EV or an ICE vehicle. And the internal combustion is because obviously you have to have an engine to run a regular vehicle. And the only way that engine can get started is you set a fire, internal combustion. So believe it or not, every time you turn the key, the ignition on your car, you're basically starting a fire underneath your hood. Now that fire, it's controlled obviously with very well, the manifolds, but it's still, you're creating a combustible event. The EV doesn't do that. It doesn't have an engine. It's it doesn't have to work off of combustion. It works off just the battery. So because of that, there can be some issues that take place in extreme weather. What I would say is hot weather doesn't really bother an EV. Like last year, like I said, we had 100 degree plus days for like 38 straight days. Never had any issues. And I would probably say ICE vehicles really don't have that much of a problem in hot weather. But now when you get to really, really cold weather, absolutely. And when I say really, really cold, I'm talking about like, we're getting into negative, because obviously Norway's 90% EVs. And last time I heard, I think Norway gets a little bit of snow every now and then. So, so it obviously works there. But there is different infrastructure that you have to set up around an EV for extreme weather conditions. The interesting thing though is it is extreme, right? So even in negative temp, like if you go out in negative 20, try turning the ignition on an ICE vehicle and have it start up the first time. And it's not, right? It's just extreme weather. So yeah, I would say it's comparable to an ICE vehicle to a regular vehicle when it comes to extreme weather. I would say the only downside right now for an EV in extremely cold temperature is that the existing infrastructure around it isn't as good as for an ICE. And when I say infrastructure, I mean like superchargers, public charging stations, stuff like that. Whereas every single corner has at least 1 or 2 gas stations, right? So you're never going to have to, worry about where you get your car to if you're having problems. So, yeah. So that's, but yeah, here in Houston, I mean, where we may have 5 to 10 days a year where we get below 30, and I didn't have any problems whatsoever. And obviously, I've been through, this is my second summer to have the Tesla here in Texas and haven't had any. And if you can drive a Tesla in Houston, Texas in the summer, I don't know, unless you're going to take it to the South Sudan, I don't know where you are, the Philippines, where you're going to find many more, hotter places. Yeah. Anything else that you're curious about?
I think I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
You're like, whatever. You're like, these damn Tesla people, they talk too much. Y'all like vegans and CrossFitters. Now see, that's pretty interesting. It's waiting here because it wanted to give, and that guy gave us a little, that's cool. Well, it didn't give us, it gave the Tesla a nod. But you saw how it was waiting there, letting the car come through?
The Tesla's too nice.
Very nice. Yeah, I would say a Tesla on FSD is basically like the most courteous driver you've ever met. Mm-hmm. Sometimes to a fault, right? Because there are certain situations where if you're courteous, you're just going to be stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
That you kind of got to let the internal a-hole come out of you. For instance, the 405 in LA. If you're courteous on the 405, you're never going to get out of Long Beach.
No, you're not.
You're like, look, kids, Long Beach.
Oh yeah, how was it?
Look, kids, Long Beach.
when you went through LA traffic.
Oh my God. So yeah, what was that? Back in December, that we came out there to visit y'all in Long Beach, and so one of the afternoons, I was like, all right, I've got a bunch of friends in the Tesla community. Obviously, Tesla's huge in LA. I mean, I want to. It's that was the other thing I noticed. I was like, man, there are more Teslas in California than there are any other vehicle. It's kind of interesting to see that, because obviously where we live here, that is the exact opposite. I'm usually the only Tesla on the road where I'm driving. Whereas when I was in LA, it was like, well, just get in line. They're everywhere. But yeah, so I would, so I do these FSD videos, and I routinely get no interventions, like what we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. It's just easy peasy here in Houston. It's like when they do eventually roll out robo-taxis, I mean, Houston's going to be one of the first places they do it. It's just the driving. I'll be the first to admit, driving in Houston or driving in Austin or driving in Dallas compared to driving in LA is like going from the freshman blue team to, being the superstar on the varsity team. Driving in LA is tough. I'll be the first. And so I was like, I told one of the folks, all right, y'all keep telling me it's this bad. I will tell you what, let me wait until rush hour, and I'll go from Long Beach, which is obviously all the way south, and I went as far north. Oh my God, what was the name of that town? Sherwood Forest or Sherwood something? You know what I'm talking about?
All the way over
there. All the way. And I'll tell you what, it was actually a fun drive. So I did a live stream on it, but it was crazy. Like, I saw some stuff on the 405 that I don't think they allow on the internet here in town. Like, literally, dude, LA's an interesting town. Like, I always thought people, like, when you're down and out and you're trying to get away from society, that you go to Florida. I think they try LA first. Yeah. I think they go to LA. Then if it doesn't work out, then they go to Florida. But no, it was fun. Yeah, I saw a lot of interesting, but it was, man, there's parts of the 405 that's just a parking lot. And it's a parking lot that moves at like 15 miles an hour altogether. Mm-hmm. And so you could, if you're all the way in the left-hand lane, you could be 3.5 miles away from needing to get off the 405. Yeah. And you might not make it over. Yeah. You may not make, like, you literally may have to start getting over about 10 miles out.
Yeah.
It's, and nobody's, like, talk about courteous. Like, nah. Because they're all going out of their mind. They're pulling their, that was the other thing I saw is, and I mentioned this to some of the folks there, and I was like, I don't know how you live in this town and don't use FSD or a Tesla. Mm-hmm. Like, if I lived in LA and I was manually driving that every single day, I mean, that's a Darwin Award. I mean, that's literally like you are, if you're not using FSD in that town, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I don't get that. I mean, there is no way somebody can explain to me how driving manually in LA is more fun. Maybe one day, and then day 2, you're like, yeah, this sucks. But yeah, the 405, it was interesting. So yeah, I went all the way north of, south of LA to the north end of LA. Went through some canyon area. There was one place I remember where it literally was like the road seemed like it was carved out of a hillside and just spiraled around a hill. Yeah, you probably don't even know where it is. I probably went to parts of LA you've never been to, because there were times where the navigation took me off of 405 to avoid some traffic and then get me back over, and I'm literally sitting there like, I have no clue where I'm at right now, like literally zero. I might as well be a monkey that you put in the driver's seat to just make sure nobody steals the Tesla while it's driving around on the 405. But it was definitely interesting. It definitely showed me that they got more work to do on FSD for certain places like Los Angeles, New York City, Ironically, it does really well in San Francisco. And San Francisco is a tough town to drive into.
Yeah.
Very tough.
Especially with like the hills.
Yeah.
And,
but and maybe it's because all of the scientists and engineers mainly live there. They come from Stanford. Like, I want to say half of the engineers. A lot of them probably in Austin now too, but it does really, really, really well in San Francisco. And my guess is that's because, that's the birthplace, so to speak, of Tesla.
Yeah.
A large portion of their engineers come from that area, and they're still in that area, like Palo Alto area. But no doubt about it, LA was tough. I remember I can go weeks here in Houston and never have an intervention. And what I mean by intervention is where I've either got to take over for the car, or I've got to hit the accelerator and goose it and help it through something. I can go weeks without doing it. I want to say on the 405, I had like 5 of them in an hour. All right, let's see how we do around these people. Very good, got over. See that? Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I had like 4 or 5 in an hour on the 405. At one point, I think the Tesla went to sleep. The 405 got so bad, and we were just idling, and it's like the traffic started moving and the Tesla wouldn't, and I was like, all right, you need to wake up. I know. Like, that's how bad the 405 is. But here in Houston, this is like when they do get all the regulatory hurdle, which they will, because what'll happen is they're going to see these things flying out all over China, and finally somebody's going to be like, oh crap, we better rethink our regulation. Like, we don't want to cede this to China, another technology to China. But yeah, once they get all the regulatory stuff in play, which won't be difficult at all, Houston will definitely be one of the first places they roll it out. And what I mean by robo-taxi is like everything we're doing right now, except I won't exist. So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm basically trying to put myself out of a job.
I see.
But you think about it. There's so many use cases for a driverless robo-taxi or cab or whatever. I mean, some of them are easy to, sorry, I just spit on.
Okay.
But like, one of them I didn't even think of. I was in Austin one time, talking to a couple of folks in the Tesla world, and they were like, how many young women who, get an Uber from a club or a bar or from work, or you know, and might they, you know, once they get past the hurdle of holy crap, I'm in a car with no driver. That's obviously a mental hurdle you got to get over. But once that hurdle, you know, and this is a female telling me, it's like, I'd much rather get in that than a car with a dude driving it. She was basically like, no offense, JC, I know you, but somebody sees a 6'2", 230-pound dude with a beard driving a car, like, there's some people are just not going to feel comfortable getting in that car with you. And I was like, I totally get it. I mean, the statistics are there, right? I mean, I can sit there and talk like I'm blue. Hey, I'm a nice guy though, but the statistics don't play that out, right? That, you know, what is it? The #1 killer of men is heart disease. The #1 killer of women is men. So, yeah. So that's one use case that I didn't even think about, you know, until recently. But obviously, some of the big use cases are, you know, elderly folks who there's a tough time getting around, folks who can't afford a vehicle, because if you can have a driverless vehicle, that's going to be way cheaper than an Uber. Because what's an Uber right now? Like $1 or $2 a mile, something like that, depending on surge pricing and whatnot. I mean, there's some models out there where you can run a driverless robo-taxi for less than 10 cents a mile. I mean, granted, the model's still got to be, but I mean, there are a bunch of people who would say, I'll never get in a Waymo or a driverless vehicle. But then you tell them, okay, well, your Uber's going to be 25, but this over here is 250. They're going to be like, let me think about this for a second. Yeah. Maybe I'll give that a shot. So, yeah, a lot of use cases. But yeah, I think Houston's going to be one of the, I mean, this is Exhibit A, right? You're seeing it right now. That it's just an easy town to drive in. So. But the special thing about what Tesla's doing with full self-drive is they're not trying to geofence it. So like Waymo is geofenced. You know what Waymo is? No. Oh, okay. So were you in Arizona with us for just okay?
That was my sister.
That's right. Don't say it like that. You just calling me racist?
No, that was my sister. I didn't go.
You're like, you just mistook. No, I'm messing with you. Like, you're low key calling me racist right now. I'm just kidding.
No.
But
there's a difference. She's short and she's tall. I mean, I'm tall. She's short.
You're making it worse for me, Nee. But yeah, so like, there's a company called Waymo, and they operate, I believe they operate in Arizona, like Phoenix area, San Francisco, Austin. I want to say maybe in LA. I could be wrong. But anyway, they're completely driverless. So they have cars. So what they do is they have like cameras and LiDAR systems set up on it, but they're completely geofenced. So they can only operate within, say, this 10 to 15 mile area. And so, you know, like, even the folks that are driving manually, they know when they're going into that area, hey, by the way, there's Waymos here, right? Well, the difference with this is universal. Are we gonna go? Well, let me ask you a question. It was yellow when we were going in, and it was kind of like, kind of dancing with it, and then it turned red on us halfway through. So I'm gonna ask you, Nee, did we run a red light, or were we okay on that one?
I think we're okay, because you're already...
I'll go back and look at the tape, and then I may need to look at the state laws on, like, because I may need to report something back up to Palo Alto on that one. It was definitely yellow when we were coming in, but I wonder what the law is on that. Is like, does it have to stay yellow all the way through, or can it turn red as you're going through? I don't know.
I think it can turn red, because if you're still going through like an intersection that lets you go through like yellow, and then all of a sudden turns red, I feel like that's fine.
Yeah. I'm good. That's my story, and I'm going to stick to it. And if I read and if I research it and I find out otherwise, I won't tell you or anybody else. So.
Just gonna.
Yeah. But yeah, so Waymo, they're when they say geofence, that basically means that the company. Oh, there's a Tesla. See, that's different. Like the difference between Houston and LA is, hey, there's a Tesla, and in LA, it's like, hey, that car's not a Tesla.
Yeah, no, Irvine.
Oh, Irvine, my God.
Irvine is.
Jeez Louise, that's like a parking lot of Teslas.
Yeah, that's like.
It's like they emptied. It's like Fremont plant just said, hey, we've got 100,000 Teslas we can't use. Okay, take them to Irvine.
No, yeah. Every time, like, I count as much, like, or every time I'm in Irvine, I just count, okay, let's see how many Teslas I see.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. That's a good school there. Was it UC Irvine?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good school. Very good school. Yeah, that's one thing. The college system in California is just top notch. You got UC Irvine, UC Berkeley, obviously UCLA. I know there's probably like 8 others that
UC.
Santa Barbara.
USC.
Yeah. Well, no, USC is different.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a private school. Yeah, there's probably like 5 or 6 more, but.
UC San Diego.
Yeah, great schools. Great
UC
schools.
Davis. Yeah,
UC Davis, yep.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But yeah, so the way this is designed is like you can just take it anywhere. So like, yeah, it's driving me all over Houston, but I could drive to Dallas today in this and be on full self-drive the entire way. Whereas I can't get in a Waymo. I can't hail a Waymo and say take me to Dallas, right?
Yeah.
So that's the different strategy that they're going for. Waymo is basically trying to tackle specific areas, and Tesla's trying to make a more generalized approach. And so I think, there's room for both, right? I think there's going to be a need for both. The thing I like about Tesla's strategy is the fact that it can just go anywhere. So like, right now, Tesla's, well, this is something but they're working with the Chinese government right now to roll out FSD over there. And so when they do, when all that's papered up, that's going to happen overnight because there's nothing that the government has to do. There's no geofencing that they got to do. Like all you got to do is just turn on the software and go. Now it's going to take it a little while to learn, through vision, all the streets and the sign. It's a need to be trained on that because obviously it's been trained a whole lot here in the United States. But yeah, it'll be up and running. That's why I said the regulators here in the U.S. I don't worry about them because once they see like 5 million Teslas being robo-taxied around in Beijing and Shanghai, somebody's head's gonna roll, and then whoever replaces that person whose head just rolled is gonna say, here you go, let's open this up over here.
What if so it's a self-drive, right?
Yep.
What if you get pulled over?
I run out of the car. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's all me. So what they right now, the formal name of it is FSD Supervised. So it used to be FSD Beta, and Beta is just a term that software engineers use for like when something's not ready for prime time yet. It's still like there's bugs that's being worked out. So it was Beta until about 3 or 4, maybe 5 months ago, and it got a lot better. They went from what they called version 11 to version 12, and with version 12 they went ahead and changed the name of it from Beta to Supervised. So Supervised means I still need to be in the driver's seat. I still need to be, it's monitoring me right now with that camera. So like in other words, I can't get in the back seat. I've got to be here for this thing. And if I'm not here, it won't operate. But eventually, yeah, the plan is to drop the Supervised. And eventually, Won't even need this. I mean, I don't need it right now, other than I'll probably need it here in a second, because I'm gonna be interested to see what it does with the parking lot this time, because it does not like to pull. Like it says to me, like right now, it says, now you are at Sweet Escape, get out. And I'm like, but I need to park over there. Are you gonna take me over there? Come on, come on, girl, come on, girl, come on, baby. Oh, you, you. Oops, I did it again. Yeah, you did, girl. All right, see, it's not all the way there yet. It got me all the way here to Sweet Escape, but it doesn't know how to drop me off yet. She'll learn.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. All right, how'd you like it, Nee?
It was great.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for being willing to be on video, or well, your voice and your pink little croc there. There you go. And your hands.
Hello.
Wave hi to everybody.
Bye.
There you go. And bye-bye.